The Democratic National Convention is a key part of American democracy. It is a tradition that has been carried out for decades, shaping the political landscape of the nation. Every 4 years, Democrats from all over the country come together. They gather to discuss, debate, and ultimately decide on the direction of their party. They have one main goal: to choose their candidate for President of the United States. This decision is crucial as it determines who will represent the party in the national election. The convention is more than just a vote. It is a grand event filled with discussions, networking, and strategizing. It's a chance for the party to show its ideas to the nation. Through speeches and presentations, they communicate their vision and policies. The party platform, debated and decided at the convention, outlines the Democrats' vision for the country. This platform serves as a roadmap for the party's future actions and policies. These gatherings are full of excitement. The atmosphere is electric, with delegates and supporters showing their enthusiasm and support. Delegates and party leaders give speeches. They share their perspectives, inspire the crowd, and rally support for their candidates and causes. They talk about the issues that matter most to them. The energy is high, the stakes are high. Every word spoken can influence the direction of the party and the nation. The Democratic National Convention is a vital part of the American political process. It is a moment where democracy is in action, and the voices of many come together to shape the future. It's where the party comes together to decide its future and the future of the nation. The decisions made here have a lasting impact on the political landscape of the United States. The first Democratic National Convention was held in 1832, a pivotal moment in American political history. Andrew Jackson, a hero of the War of 1812, was already president at the time, having gained immense popularity. He had been elected in 1828, riding a wave of populist support that reshaped the political landscape. But this convention marked the formal start of the Democratic Party as we know it, solidifying its foundational principles. Early conventions were simpler affairs than the grand events of today, often held in modest venues. There were no televised speeches or massive arenas, just earnest discussions and debates. But they were still important, serving as a crucial platform for political discourse. They helped to establish the party's identity, bringing together like-minded individuals. One key issue in these early years was the balance of power between the federal government and individual states, a contentious topic. Democrats, led by figures like Jackson and later Martin Van Buren, fought vigorously for states' rights, emphasizing local control. They believed strongly in limited government, advocating for minimal federal intervention in state affairs. These early conventions laid the groundwork for the Democratic Party's enduring commitment to popular sovereignty, a principle that remains central today. That means the people should have a strong voice in their government, ensuring that democracy thrives through active participation and representation. The Great Depression hit America hard in the 1930s. Millions were unemployed, people lost their homes and their hope. The 1932 Democratic National Convention nominated Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He promised a new deal for the American people. Roosevelt's New Deal changed the role of government. He created programs to provide jobs, help farmers, and support the elderly. These programs, like Social Security, still exist today. Roosevelt dominated Democratic politics for decades. He was elected president 4 times. His New Deal policies redefined the party. They made it the party of working people. The conventions during Roosevelt's time reflected this new identity. They were full of energy and optimism as Democrats rallied behind their leader and his vision for a fairer, more just America. The issue of civil rights for African Americans shook the Democratic Party in the 1950s and 1960s. The 1948 Democratic National Convention saw a battle over civil rights. President Harry Truman, a Democrat, supported equal rights, but many Southern Democrats opposed him. The 1964 convention was even more dramatic. It nominated Lyndon B. Johnson, who continued the push for civil rights. But the party was deeply divided. Many Southern delegates walked out in protest. This era was a turning point. The Democratic Party chose to stand on the side of civil rights. This decision cost them support in the South, but it solidified their commitment to equality and social justice. Section 5. The Vietnam War and its aftermath. a party in turmoil. The Vietnam War cast a long shadow over American politics. It also divided the Democratic Party. The 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago was chaotic. Protests against the war erupted outside the convention hall. The party was split between those who supported the war and those who wanted peace. This division helped Republican Richard Nixon win the presidency that year. The war's legacy continued to haunt the party. The 1972 convention nominated George McGovern, a strong opponent of the war, but he lost in a landslide to Nixon. The Vietnam War left the Democratic Party searching for answers. They needed to find a way to unify and regain the trust of the American people. Section 6. The Rise of Reagan and the Search for New Direction. The 1980s saw the rise of Ronald Reagan. He was a charismatic Republican. His message of smaller government and strong national defense appealed to many Americans. The Democrats struggled to counter Reagan's popularity. The 1984 convention nominated Walter Mondale. He was a former vice president, but he lost in a landslide to Reagan. The Democratic Party realized they needed to adapt. They needed new ideas to connect with voters. They needed to find a way to address the concerns of a changing nation. Section 7. Bill Clinton and the New Democrats, a return to the center. Bill Clinton's election in 1992 marked a turning point for the Democrats. Clinton, a Southern governor, presented himself as a New Democrat. He moved the party away from some of its more liberal positions. Clinton focused on issues like the economy and health care. He worked with Republicans to pass some of his agenda. This approach helped him win re-election in 1996. The 1992 and 1996 conventions reflected this new approach. They were carefully stage-managed events. The focus was on presenting a unified party and a positive message to voters. Clinton's presidency showed that Democrats could be pragmatic. They could appeal to a broad range of voters. The 2008 Democratic National Convention made history. It nominated Barack Obama. He was the first African American to be a major party's nominee for president. Obama ran on a message of hope and change. He promised to end the Iraq War and reform healthcare. He inspired millions of Americans, especially young people. Obama's election was a watershed moment. It showed how much progress the country had made on race relations. It also showed the enduring power of the Democratic Party's message of inclusion and opportunity. The 2012 convention celebrated Obama's achievements. It highlighted his work on health care and the economy. It also looked ahead to the challenges facing the country. The 2016 election was a shock for the Democratic Party. Hillary Clinton, the first woman to be nominated for president by a major party, lost to Donald Trump. Trump's victory revealed deep divisions in the country. It also exposed weaknesses in the Democratic Party's coalition. They had lost touch with working-class voters in key states. The 2020 Democratic National Convention nominated Joe Biden. He was a former vice president. He promised to unify the country and restore America's standing in the world. Biden's victory over Trump was a victory for the Democratic Party, but it also highlighted the challenges they face in a deeply divided nation. Democratic National Conventions are more than just events. They are pivotal gatherings that define the party's direction. They are crucial moments in American political history where decisions made can influence the nation's trajectory. These conventions have shaped the party's identity and its policy positions over the decades, reflecting the evolving values of its members. These conventions are a chance for the party to come together, to unify under a common banner. They debate their vision for the country, discussing and refining their goals. They choose their leaders, who will carry their message forward, and they energize their base for the fight ahead, rallying support and building momentum. The conventions are also an opportunity for the party to present itself to the American people, showcasing their unity and strength. Through speeches, videos, and platform discussions, Democrats lay out their values and their plans for the future, aiming to inspire and persuade. The power of these gatherings lies in their ability to tell a compelling story. This story is about the party's past, its present, and its hopes for the future, weaving a narrative that resonates with its supporters. It's a story that continues to be written every 4 years, evolving with each new chapter. The Democratic Party faces many challenges in the years ahead. The country is deeply divided, economic inequality is growing, and climate change poses an existential threat. But the party also has many opportunities. It can draw on its long history of fighting for working families, for social justice, and for a more inclusive America. The Democratic National Conventions of the future will be crucial. They will be a testing ground for new ideas and new leaders. They will be a time for the party to renew its commitment to its core values. The stakes are high. The future of the Democratic Party, and perhaps the future of the country, may depend on the choices made in those convention halls.